Hey, if you don't have your Mexican residency, you need to get it in 2025. You need to get it now. And in this walk and talk video, I'm going to tell you why I think it's really important to get that residency as soon as you can. Hi, my name is Troy. Welcome to my channel, Silver Fox in Mexico. I'm going to do a walk and talk. I'm going to show you some downtown central area of Morelia, give you my reasons why you need to have this, your residency. So let's just get to it. So if you own a home or property in Mexico and you don't have your residency, if you just come down here like a snowbird and do your on a tourist visa, or if you're thinking about moving or retiring to Mexico and you're thinking about doing the tourist visa, do your 180 days and go back and then, go out for a few days and come back in, I really think that you're setting yourselves up for some potential major problems. And here's why. So the first issue is you can see what's going on with the political climate in the United States. President Trump is really shaking things up with the geopolitical arena, mainly tariffs, but also his main campaign promise to get a handle on immigration. And as he does that, you're going to see a lot of consequences from other countries and predominantly here in Mexico. Many people think that, or I should say many foreigners think that Mexico gives you 180 days automatically. And while Mexico does have one of the most liberal tourist visas in the world, if you read the regulations, it doesn't say 180 days. What it says is you can be granted up to 180 days. And what a lot of people don't realize, they think that's a federal program, and it is, except the immigration offices, whether you're coming in through the airport or a land crossing, they give a lot of discretion to the immigration officer who's handling your documents at that time. So if that person's having a bad day, you might only get 30 days instead of the 180 days. If the person before you made them mad, you might get 7 days. And I'm sure there's plenty of people who will come on and make comments and say, hey, I always get my 180 days. Well, that's great for you. I'm glad you don't have any problems. But I'm seeing more and more people, even especially from the immigration facilitators who help foreigners get their visas, are saying that there's a lot of people coming in and they're getting very short-term days stamped on their passports. So if you have property here, if you own a house in Puerto Vallarta and you're snowbirding it, do you really want to take a chance that all of a sudden you might only be able to come into and have access to your property for 14 days? That doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I mean, it seems like you're taking an awful lot of risk when really the only reason not to get a residency is if you don't meet the qualifications. And what are the qualifications? Well, the qualifications for the Mexican consulate in Las Vegas, which I looked at this morning, 2024, if you did a temporary residency, the dollar amount for 12 months worth of savings was $68,000 and $68,066. Or if you went on the monthly income amount, that's $4,084. Which brings me to my other point. Recently, the president of Mexico stated that she has the intention of raising the minimum wage next January by 12%. And this is really important because the residency financial requirements are tied to a ratio that includes the Mexican minimum wage. So if she does a 12% increase in January of next year, your monthly income requirement would jump to $4,574 or $76,233. And different consulates have different requirements, as crazy as that sounds. But I will let you know that Las Vegas has probably the lowest amount, right along with Detroit, which is the Mexican consulate that I used. And I went in August 2021, and my requirements were $27,400 for 12 months of bank statements. So you can see the major increase from 2021, which was $27,400, to 2024, which is $68,066. So if you're thinking about retiring in 3 or 4 years, think about how much that income amount is going to go up if the current government has a major push on lowering the income inequality gap by raising the minimum wage every year. You're going to see some substantial increases. Going back to the geopolitical aspect, you could very well see if President Trump does something and starts deporting large numbers of undocumented or illegal Mexicans in the United States, you could see President Sheinbaum definitely retaliate and make it a lot harder for Americans and Canadians in Mexico. You're already seeing the effects of the 10,000 troops that the president of Mexico has sent up to the northern border. There's multiple checkpoints. There's pulling over buses and looking at people's documents. And if you're undocumented, or if you're past your tourism visa stamp, they can and will take you off the bus, arrest you, and put you in detention. And they can hold you for 30 days in a detention center. Do you really want to do that? Do you really want to take that risk? It doesn't make sense to me that if you have an intention of coming to Mexico and living, to simply just go through the process. It's not that difficult. Anybody can do it in the United States or Canada on the first requirement, and it costs about between $400 and $600 for a good facilitator to handle your paperwork once you reach the Mexico and you start doing the last phase, which is getting your biometrics and getting your card. So I really hope that if you're planning on moving to Mexico, that you will explore the option of getting your residency, whether it's temporary or permanent. And if you contact your local Mexican consulate and you can't meet the requirements, or they give you a hard time about getting an appointment, then what I would suggest doing is try going to a different consulate, contact a different consulate. Some are notoriously harder than others. Like I said earlier, that I went through Detroit, and it was very straightforward, very easy. In fact, it took me a total of 29 minutes to walk in, give them my documentation, answer the questions, get my biometrics, pay, and I walked out 29 minutes later with my visa in my passport. So please do your own research, but this is, my thoughts on the matter and why I think you should do it. I do know that when I talk to Mexicans, and they're a little wary of me being an American, but when I tell them that I'm a temporary resident, that I've lived in Mexico for 3 years, that I have a Mexican driver's license, that next January or February of 2026 that I'll be a permanent resident, their whole attitude changes. They realize that I'm making a commitment to Mexico, that I'm here legally, and their whole demeanor changes. So there you have it. Those are my thoughts on getting a residency and why I think you should get it now. There's always the possibility that in the future they dramatically change the tourism time frame. They could easily say, okay, it's 90 days, just like most countries around the world. So please give it some consideration. If you like this video and you thought it was helpful, please give it a thumb up. If you have comments, I encourage you to leave them down in the bottom, and I will do my best to answer them. And if you have suggestions for future videos, please go ahead and leave those in the comments as well. Have a great day. Hope you enjoyed this walk as I'm walking down one of the main thoroughfares in Morelia, and everybody's having enjoying the time of running down the main street because they have this main street blocked off. Have a great day. Bye.